He's a young player. Like, this is the kind of guy that pops up on people that was ripping through kids in O solo queue. That's a soul of him.
Yeah.
When he really goes off on a champion like Draven. Him like farming on Caitlyn and Kog'Maw is like, it's good, but it's not interesting.
I mean, he made a pretty big name for himself right at the start of Academy, getting a quadra kill on Kog'Maw, flashing a wall, and you kind of saw what looked to be that brilliant, aggressive style that we kind of saw in that last game, but he did feel like he took a little bit of a backseat as Echo Fox's struggles kind of happened in the middle of the season before they really rallied at the very end. This time around, though, a lot of similar bans, but Caitlyn not hitting the list, looking like a probable first pick out of Echo Fox if it's not on that ban list right now.
Well, Swain, Tom, Kench, Olaf, Xayah, Kog'Maw, running from right to left just for funsies. 12 seconds now for FlyQuest Academy. I wonder what they're considering, or if they're just kind of buying time for something else, because Caitlyn does kind of stick out as the obvious ban here, but it's not going to be. In fact, they thought the Thresh was more of the problem, perhaps.
I mean, I kind of agree with that, especially if you're anticipating a Caitlyn first pick. You don't really need to react to a Draven. They've telegraphed the Caitlyn first pick. So there you go. Ban the Thresh out. I thought Papa Chow had a pretty great game on it. Set that Draven up to snowball, and then obviously lost, ran with it. But take away that support pick that was giving you some issues.
Yep, I think also the game they lost in game 2, still looking good on the Thresh, so I kind of like the sentiment there, but it does give over the Caitlyn. We'll see if Lost can take over lanes in a similar way. We've already seen Ari get a lot of work done, and it looks like FlyQuest kind of taking maybe a step back more, JJ back on Morgana, but Skarner back for Shrimp kind of feels like the right champion in the series.
That Zac game was not particularly impressive. I mean, he probably wasn't expecting to go against such an aggressive early game team comp, which would have been nicer to have Skarner in, but even then, the champion just doesn't do as much as a Skarner, it feels like, with the advantage in the early clear speed, the skirmishing early on, the fact that you can have better objective control, and yes, late game, I think you can say Zac's a better team fighter, but not worth giving up all those other advantages.
Ryze also back over to Demonte, so looks like FOXA kind of pushing the pieces back into more standard slots after that last game here. See if Keen wants to take his pick now. Seen his Azir, his Orianna's been good all series. And instead going to pick up the Jhin. Ari not wanting to lose a marksman in phase 2 of bans.
Yeah, but they did get pinched a little bit there because they sprung for that Morgana pick, and it's going to hurt them now, most likely in the mid lane. That champion was something that JJ felt like it was working well for him, and maybe they over-indexed into it right now because it does lead to the situation where you need to grab the Jhin, else that gets banned out, and now Keen is probably going to lose his Ori and maybe Cassio or Azir. We'll have to see what Fox chooses to pinch down on.
Yep, there's a Braum ban for FlyQuest. Papa Chow also needs a support. Did not pick one in the first phase. So we'll have to kind of see what the rest of the target bans look like here. Kind of worried that Morgana isn't as good if your lane isn't pushing, and it's pretty tough to outpush a Caitlyn. So find out later, but Cassio is the first ban.
Jhin can do fine into Caitlyn on the matchup, depending on how the supports play out. Maybe this is time for Echo Fox to break that Nami out again here a second time. Does work a little bit better with Caitlyn. Maybe you can help stabilize that lane, but we'll have to see because it didn't look great in the first game.
Yeah, and I think playmaking's maybe fit more of the Papa Chow wheelhouse so far in the series. But with Thresh, Alistar, and Braum all banned, that's a lot of potential taken away. Also an Anivia ban there.
Interesting.
On Fox side.
Demonte has played a little bit of Anivia.
Look good.
Does feel like it's a champion that can do all right into Ryze. You lose a little bit early on to make his short-range life more difficult later into the game.
We'll see exactly where Fly want to go here. I'm going to take the Cho away. This is a really good pick, I think, by FLYA Academy.
Yeah, I like that adaptation from the last draft. This time around, getting that Cho'Gath pick. They're probably going to play into Sion or maybe Gnar or something, but for the most part, Cho'Gath becomes one of the strongest tanks in the game. Or Shen,
yeah,
which
Shen's
I do like.
Up. I like this as well. We'll see if they lock it in. They do. Alorum kind of sticking on the tanks, but kind of keeping them pretty strong. As last pick, Lulu.
Hey, so they are still keeping a fair amount of these surprise picks showing up here. There were 2 games for Alarum in the regular season of Shen, and we were talking about how his champion pool might be a little wider than Ares. Also, the Shen was banned out, so Ares didn't, or not Ares, excuse me, No didn't get a chance to show that one off. So here we go, Alarum getting a potentially good matchup in the top side.
I mean, I think he fared pretty well in the 1v1 versus a Sion with his Cho'Gath. I think the thing that they've done that I like is expect the Cho'Gath to be picked and be prepared with the other counter pick, because top lane didn't get touched really at all in the draft unless you consider Swain as that flex pick there. And so just kind of being like, well, his Cho'Gath is really good. Like, I don't want to play against that, so give me the Cho, so we don't have to ban it, so we can pick on Papa Chow, but Alorum's like, well, I'm ready with the Shen. Papa Chow's like, I have a Lulu, surprise!
Yeah.
And I think Fox have played this draft very well and gotten to a similar spot where they did in the last game. So as all things align, I like what they've done here, but FlyQuest also kind of rolling things back a little, playing much more comfort. So with the way they've played, I tend to not index on FlyQuest drafts as being the reason they're winning. It's more how they're playing out the games. If things stick even, FlyQuest tend to win.
It depends, yeah, because while they do have a couple cute things in the draft that I think both you and I like a lot, like that Lulu, like that Shen, the Caitlyn being taken away here, it is still less explosive early game. The Caitlyn and Lulu will provide a lot of pushing and control potentially against the Jhin and the Morgana, but it's not like they're killing you in lane multiple times. And the Shen will provide extra support should aggression happen in the bot lane, but if FlyQuest are able to go even in this game, Fox don't quite have that explosive early game snowball like we saw in Game 3.
Yeah, and I think, do you trust yourselves, even with a pretty good, mid to late game comp, do you trust yourselves to beat a team like FlyQuest around the map? Well, we'll have to find out. Maybe something else can be done with some of their pushing lanes, or perhaps the tank in the top lane, but once again, focus going to be around the bot side and on these junglers who have had a lot of back and forth in the series. Feels like Shrimp has done a little bit better so far, but Orange kind of starting to ramp up. Does feel like kind of an emotional player, so now with a bit more momentum might feel more comfortable in what's been a tough opponent so far.
Absolutely. We heard Orange talking about how he wasn't nervous at all for semifinals, maybe due to the expectations that you kind of heard Lost talking about, where they were like, yeah, we don't think we're going to be a great team, and then when you make semifinals as the 4th seed, maybe you're not under the pressure of being like, we really think we're favorites here and we better go out and perform. Let's just see how we do. They win that, and now in the finals, they're feeling a lot better, and maybe that pressure started to get to him. Either way, he did have a decent game last one. Did feel like he was kind of more the setup tool for a lot of the team's victories versus he was kind of going in and winning skirmishes on his own or anything. Demonte is another guy I want to talk about because despite losing Game 2, he was actually really fed that game and making pretty good plays. And he was obviously very strong last game on the cast and pick once he got out of the laning phase, which he honestly went even in all things considered. So he's probably actually outplayed Keen for the series, though it hasn't always been so noticeable as compared to when Lost is popping off on Draven.
Yeah, Game 1 certainly over to Keen, but I have to agree in the last 2, Demonte has looked good. His Rise looked exceptional in that second game. We'll see if he can have a repeat performance here. As Jungler's back on that left side.
Yep, everyone's starting on the top side, having a lot of fun up there. Every time it's tank versus tank in the top lane, it's hard to justify necessarily. Yeah. But I will say, sometimes doing the mix-up is exactly what you want to do. Maybe it's not as optimal most of the time, but if everyone's just going to kind of default into this, you can go for some trickier stuff like hide your top laner, don't let them know he's there maybe, and then go leashless on the bot lane or something, clear your way up and get a level 3 gank off where no one's ready for it. You can do some tricky stuff like that, and I wouldn't mind seeing an adaptation like that, but for now, sticking more about clearing the bot lane because these are 2 aggressively pushing bot laners.
Yeah, Shrimp does not strike me as, at least recently, the tricky mix-up kind of guy. He's been pretty straight and narrow.
It's kind of hard to argue with, like, well, I have Skarner, so I'll clear down here faster, or I'll get Crab for my
Scutterclab.
Shut up.
Well, he got it, so
yeah,
that's Orange coming down.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was kind of making. Like, it's hard to argue with this strategy where you now have complete vision control of the river with a faster clearing jungler. It's so advantageous for a pushing bot lane to have this that I can understand why you would want to do it.
Yeah, let's see if Orange can continue tracking Shrimp. I think that was one of the things he did best in the last game, was figuring out where that Zac was and just nullifying Shrimp's pressure. I don't think Orange, especially in this matchup, is really ready to take over and start invading. But if you just stop Shrimp from doing what he did to you the last time he had Skarner in the series, your job to me is effectively done.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like you need to smash Shrimp, but as one of the main people who get advantages for FlyQuest, if you can neutralize him, then you're doing more than you need to.
Well, bot lane's been pretty even so far on the CS front. JJ with a lot of good bindings to harass here. Again, the Jhin Morgana combo is a ton of CC in, so you got to be careful, but good little juke back and forth. Papa Chow getting the damage down. Lost now actually opening up onto Ari. Really nice trade in the 2v2 for Echo Fox.
Good stuff thus far. Getting a little low of mana for Papa Chow, so he's got to be careful because Ari and JJ will be able to continue to spam out. So while it's nice that they won this HP lead, the health potions are still there for Ari with that Doran ring start, so he'll be able to come back up to a little bit more HP, and then they will be able to continue pushing the wave, and it could be a bit of a problem for Echo Fox's bot lane.
Left side Crab went over to FlyQuest Academy, though, as good tracking here on the other side. Odd Orange's drop blue intersection was watered out, so have good information so far. And Shrimp is kind of finishing his pathing finally, making his way to the most hated camp on the Rift, the Krug camp. But Shrimp, nothing else to do, so might as well do it.
Yeah, one of those camps where I wouldn't mind taking a look at that in the future about maybe we don't make it quite so annoying to do when it's also the most out-of-the-way camp on the map, but who knows?
Who knows? Well, we'll see. As Shrimp back cycling through the jungle on his Raptors. Bot lane, lost nets forward. That's aggressive.
Yep, still showing he wants to play aggressive. Gets poked down a little bit for it, though.
Does not get bound here. Does step left, but instead Papa Chow, who was chunked, eats it there. Root not going to hit either onto the Lulu. JJ's playing with fire, but both these supports pretty low. Might just see both of them back off.
Important for Lost is the fact that he didn't get low, so while JJ and Airy are going to get their recalls off, and Airy's happy to recall an earlier timing to grab the Caulfield's hammer, Lost is going to want to stay on this map for a little bit longer until he can get his BF sword. Does not really want to match with a pickaxe, and given that I said, you know, he's in an okay spot. Maybe he stays in only Lulu backs and they do a desynced recall, but looks like both of them are going back instead. Yeah, he's cool. I think he's there right now on BF sword, so pretty close as far as gold goes. We'll check it in a second as they will go back. And he's waiting in base for a little bit.
Yep, not ideal, but he'll take it. Does get that BF sword timing.
Yep, so good job for him. Wow, you're a prophet, Pastry.
Almost like I checked the gold value as you were talking to make sure that's what happened. As Shrimp is back out on the map. Sorry to reveal secrets, but turns out I'm not a prophet. I just know to check things sometimes. Especially when my wonderful analyst sets me up so well. So happy to be here with best friend Mark Zimmerman.
You know, that's such a strong term.
It is.
You know, like, you don't have anyone else who's going to hear that and get, like, jealous a little bit. Someone else? Just me?
I think in general, people in Australia are asleep right now, so, although I'm not exactly sure on time zones. It's been a while. But you know what? If I get an angry phone call from my mom and dad, I'll let you know. Your mom and dad are your best friend? Sometimes. Hey, man. You don't have a good relationship with your parents, Mark? Are we going down the rabbit hole?
Good versus best friend? Where are you leading me? I'm just saying.
Oh, it's midday. That's awkward. Anyway, we'll move on as Damonte hitting level 6 there with a decent CS lead, actually. Both of them charging up those tiers. Damonte looking pretty good in the 1v1 so far. We'll see if that continues as Shrimp trying to get some invasion happening. Has his Predator ready, but no 6 just yet for the Skarner. Will show himself in mid, if only briefly.
Yeah, and Damonte's done a good job of getting himself a little bit of a CS lead, and they're going to need that because, like we said, this is a slower pace game, not as explosive. They don't have such clear plays to go for, so grinding out these smaller advantages will be very, very useful.
Shrimp, though, getting close to 6. I think he's going to hit it after this camp, but send us your energy out there in the world. Will FlyQuest Academy close out, or will FOXA Academy strike again? Spam the chat with FOXA or FlyA. We'll take your votes live.
See, when I see send your energy, I imagine like the Dragon Ball Z hands up in the air thing, but it's kind of hard to type if you're channeling.
Yeah.
So
type first, then channel.
Yeah. And you can spam too. I think it just counts totals. It's not checking unique IDs or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Go to town.
Get in there.
Yeah.
We mean spam as Shrimp in onto the Drake. Looks like enough coverage here from Keen's pressure in mid to kind of sneak this one away. Also a good control ward. So again, the early Drakes for Skarner continue to be a trend here in this game. And FlyQuest kind of back to business on the early Drake control.
Yeah, while the CS deficits in some of these positions aren't great, it is still kind of more aligned with the FlyQuest games that we were seeing in 1 and 2 that they won with these early Dragons, with some slower paced games. And it's not like, oh man, Draven 6, get ready to get all in. And there you see a lot of people trusting EchoFox here.
Ooh, flash from Damonte. Shrimp is in with the Predator flash. Sting knows here as well on Orange. Gonna try and turn it back around. The shadow is nice, but it's not enough to save him. Still the shield might be enough. First blood over to no, but Alorum does get the counter kill in onto Keen.
Close, close. 3v3 in the mid lane with both people getting involved. No with the roam down so that he is able to hold on to his teleport to match the Shen globals. Very, very important. They also managed to get the first blood just in time. But Keen still drops. Damonte drops. Both mid laners down. But the CS lead continuing to grow here. EchoFox now up to a 20 CS lead in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think a necessary gank for Shrimp and a big force using all the cooldowns. Damonte was also forced to burn his, but good response there from Alarum on the Shen. Get things going. Ace in the hole. Yeah, better get blocked. Airy tanks it. That might have killed JJ.
Lulu pick coming up really big now. With that bot lane control, they're looking to steal away this blue buff as well. JJ has to be really careful. There's a ward over the wall, so they can see him.
Yeah, they can. JJ going to get tagged again. Spell Immune wears off as Papa Chow pokes him with a Glitter Lance. But Demonte here to pick up this blue. Should be a steal over. Does go to Lulu.
I mean...
just fine, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of want that in your mid lane.
You do.
But if your bot lane is kind of one of your win conditions that you've putting your first pick in the game into and saved a counter pick for, it's not that bad to secure more pushing advantages for that bot lane here. And then looking at this replay, just a really big commit by Shrimp. Hard to say it wasn't worth it, but Noah was just a little slow at getting involved here and didn't have his ultimate to kind of execute Demonte there, so that shield keeping him alive, as well as the fact that Keen didn't really have a great place to kite to with Auto Orange forcing him left instead of back to his turret. Just a good trade. Both teams reacting well. Good play from both. And then Fox transitioning that to the bot lane for that blue buff. Pretty important as well because Ryze will then be able to keep pushing in the Orianna most likely. Yeah, continue to kind of mount that CS lead. Good poke here on the Papa Chow. Ult from JD is going to wall in. That Ignite almost gets the kill with that full shot, but Papa Chow ults just in time. Lost looking to keep chasing. And a nice bait getting the flash out of area. They don't lose any of their own. The heal does get dropped down, but not too bad. I think Lost also barriered, not realizing that he doesn't have heal this game. Yeah, maybe. Not the one that's going to fall, but still the pressure onto the turret will be the continuation here as Odd Orange makes his way down. FlyQuest Academy are sticking their duo lane down to try and stave this off, but it is risky for both these supports. Yeah, both people having low members down here in the bot lane and just trying to buy time, hold on to their turret while Shrimp works down the Rift Herald up on the other side of the map. They're going to hear that, though, go down, and maybe they return to make up another play on the bot side. Demonte might be able to roam. They also need to worry about the TP disadvantage that they're at right now, actually, because No saved his in order to be able to match up to the Shen ultimate that's coming back up in just a little bit. Yeah, 20 seconds till that's back available, so not there just yet. Oh, Demonte tried to do the cool thing. Missed it just barely with the Spellflux Dematerializer. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. It's a cool trick, though. Yeah, for people who don't know, Spellflux will spread even if the minion is dead while the particle is in the air, so you don't even need to time it that perfectly, and then you get the spread onto everything instantly. So it can be a nifty little trick at some points if you feel like you can spread it onto somebody else, but didn't get it there, and totally inconsequentially in the mid lane, getting Ooh, another one here. Suppress lands in. Shelly's also in the mix, but she's not interested. Oh, Alorum. Good early ult. Actually might be able to save both his teammate and the turret. Lost with a good flash. Angle gets out from under the last shot from Ares Jhin ult. Rift Herald dies. Still first turret up for grabs, but that all in the bot lane did not go Fox's way. Yeah, two good plays for FlyQuest in a row. The dive in the mid lane didn't quite work as No did not have flash to get the chomp down onto the Ryze to finish him off. And like you said, that bot lane play happening at the same time means that they can kind of 3v3 around mid lane and not need to worry about any external factors. Might be able to grab a turret here. Bot lane more focused on recalling, though. Yeah, bot lane going to back off, but maybe Fly stick around in mid lane to take it. We'll watch this again, though. Again, both support and AD were low here. JJ, though, getting aggressive. Ooh, good mix-up on the binding. Forces the ult out on one target. And now if there's no ult left for Lost, they tag him once or twice. A lot of damage down. On target by Airy, but Lost good flash reaction. But good play to even out some of those summoners here. Also, a bit of a mismatch here in the itemization. I guess Berserker Greaves being the stop-off has delayed the Infinity Edge, and Essence Reaver straight rush for Eri. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's not too much of a mismatch in itemization. The higher boots is something that you see sometimes people actually go really early on against Morgana lanes because the move speed is so valuable in dodging the binding. So much of her power is in that ability, so if you don't get hit by it, it doesn't do as much, obviously. So not too bad to see that, as well as the fact that the Essence Reaver rush isn't too bad because a lot of its power comes from its second item power spike, and you get the extra crit for the extra cooldown reduction. Yep. Again, tower's still low, so probably just fine here as far as itemization. Go gold is even for what it's worth, so both ADs just spending their gold a little differently. Also, Hydra up for Alorum maybe buys him a little bit more traction in the 1v1 top lane, can really get the split push and going. Ults have been good so far as well. As pressure here in the bot side from Shrimp for the first time in this game. Trying to, again, get them off this turret, but Fox able to play it slow. I think feeling confident that this turret is theirs soon enough. Yeah, this game, while kind of mirroring some of the slower games, does feel a little bit more touch and go. There's been a number of skirmishes down the bot lane where people might have died, same around the mid lane. No one able to win decisively, but they are still being very aggressive. Here, once again, another fight for wave clear in the bot lane, I guess. Ari was focusing on just finishing the wave off so they don't lose the turret, but Damonte's on the roam first.
Yeah, orange here as well, but no angle for the ulti by Setuani, so no overcommitment there by FOXA again, just putting pressure where it matters. Gonna clear this out. Lost gonna step on a trap and continue just keeping FlyQuest in this lane. They've got the push, they feel confident. As long as no one gets caught in some sort of gank or a 2v2, then this turret should be there soon enough, and orange is gonna stick around. Maybe for a turret dive.
Might think this is an overextension here by FlyQuest, sticking around for a very low HP turret that's going to drop at some point anyways.
Yep, Lost jukes the first one. Ari with the black shield is nice by JJ to protect him from the ulti, but turret goes down regardless, so mission somewhat accomplished for FOX.
Yeah, not too bad. In the meantime, Shrimp is trying to answer for FlyQuest's low turret in the mid lane, but doesn't look like they're quite confident enough to continue on, as there's a lot of vision control in the river on Fox's side, so this rotation from the bot lane, which just finished the turret off, is a little bit covered.
Second Drake is alive here though, so perhaps the fight will break out. Papa Chow could be the first to caught, forced to ult himself to stand and he's going to come in as well. Ulti there is good from Keen, finds two. It looks like Alorum canceled the ulti. Keen though does take down Papa Chow, but Shrimp is low. He's going to be the target, not quite dead. Lost finds the last auto attack. And the 1-for-1 trade.
That Lulu taking a long time to kill there. They did finally manage to finish her off, but they had to blow so many ultimates on just the support pick. It bought enough time for the flashless Shrimp to get answered back on. A little surprised to see FOX not forcing down this dragon without the enemy having their smite available. Oh, there they go.
Yep, just going to buy a bit more time, make sure people have cleared back as the waves push down, particularly in the bot side. And this should be Drake over. FOX looking to equalize on total dragons taken. Going to match Oceans as well here as they do take down that Drake.
So you can see FlyQuest is kind of getting baited with some of these all-ins. You think it's, oh, it's the enemy support, let's just blow her up. But she gets her ult off, she lives for a long period of time. The Shen ultimate comes on top as well. And it just leads to this really long sequence where it takes a surprising amount of time to kill what looks like, you know, an 800, 900 HP Lulu. There's the Shen ult coming down. Does get interrupted by No, who's going to be able to land the Rupture on top of it, but at this point, Shrimp is just caught out in the river for such a long period of time. Steps on a trap as he's trying to kite out. Lost eventually able to finish him off for that last auto attack.
Yeah, it's kind of good at going in, much worse at going out. So a trade there in the end is also a Drake for FOX will even that up. Turrets also now equalized as Keen finally finishes off the job that Shelly started.
Yep, equal turrets, the Drakes were equalized, the kills are equalized, the gold is equalized. This is a close game by every metric.
Yep, and you can see now team starting to move back around. Lost up in the top lane. He's got his Infinity Edge and some couple of extra daggers. Zeal there for Eri with Brown Boots is going to move also to that top lane.
Brown Boots.
That's what they call it, brown bags. Chuck them on your feet.
It's called Boots of Speed. Give them the respect they deserve. Not much going on, though, at this point. The Rift Herald was taken. Dragon was just taken. No objectives to fight over. Bot lane turret was taken, so it makes sense why FOX flips up to the top side here. But it took them a really long time to get enough pressure to take that bot lane turret, so I can't imagine without Damonte getting the inside track on a roam or something, which he can probably do. I don't think that turret's going to drop out without, you know, kind of other influences.
Yeah, going to be more of a slow and steady situation, which has kind of been the path for Caitlyn games. See if Fox can emulate some of FlyQuest's style this series.
And I think they're going to be challenged too, because they do have the engage available by the Sejuani, but after that, not a ton of follow-up. Shen will usually be on the far side of the map, so he's not going to get a taunt necessarily. Damonte can maybe flash W, but other than that, you don't have a great way of engaging. The enemy team has plenty of disengage available as well, so it will be a more FlyQuest style game where they'll need to set up around objectives. They'll need to kind of force these situations where someone starts an objective and then either finishes it or turns off.
NCC time, Shrimp again going to get the suppression down. No saving Papa Chow this time. Good. Shrimp able to get that kill.
Good call by Alaroy to not even bother trying to go for it. It's someone who's clearly caught out of position that's going to let him die. And now they need to be worried about the potential push that's going to come in on this turret.
Yeah, mid lane is also coming up. Damonte going to catch first rotation. Looks to Keen for a bit of damage, but pretty tanky with the Merc Treads there for Orianna.
Pretty tanky.
Nice again from Keen and just have that turret down. A lot easier for him to apply pressure in the situation, despite the fact that Damonte has laned and farmed very well so far in the 1v1. He doesn't have space just yet. He will get strong. We saw in Game 2 again that he almost was able to carry some of the late fights on the rise, but the game continues to be very tense.
Yeah, once again, Keen going for the Oblivion Orb build, a little surprisingly. Going to turn that into a Morello Nomicon, most likely. It is obviously a very strong item if you're trying to burst people out with the kind of combo. Maybe that's what they're going for. They're going to be isolating targets with Shrimp, pulling in frontliners. Luckily, they're not playing against an infinitely scaling Cho'Gath this time around, so you will be able to blow up Auto Orange like we have seen in previous games, or potentially the Shen as well.
Auto Orange going to face check this bush in the meantime. Finds Skarner. JJ the target. Black Shield already down. See if they can get it off. They do manage to go. Permafrost going to land in. Damonte also up here. TP's coming in early, but Damonte might be there just in time. Walker over the knockup. There's the first kill. TP finally lands, but Aloran flash talk in onto Airy. It's a massacre under the turret. A massive dive. The Cho will get the counter kill, but FlyQuest grabbed 4 kills.
Right at 20 minutes as well, so they'll be able to turn this straight into a Baron push and explode this game wide open.
Perhaps a superior calculation with a very strong team fight dive onto the Baron. Keen can do nothing but shove the waves.
This was what EchoFox's comp was kind of built to do from moment one. You have the double globals that can come in for Damonte and Halrim. You want to isolate the enemy team's bot lane, and they found that play finally. There was enough skirmishing going on around the mid lane that they had a hard time comboing Damonte down there, but this is what it looks like when you finally pull it off. Shrimp is in the right place at the right time, but the rest of his team is not going to be able to match. There was just a blue buff handoff going on that they actually had vision of down the other side of the map, so they knew there was no way Keen could collapse. Both top laners come in, but it's still a 4v5, and the fight did not start underneath the turret. They had managed to find JJ, who was just out of position, along with Shrimp, so a huge victory there by EchoFox. 2,000 gold lead now in 3 minutes to use Baron buff.
Yeah, and that's kind of the scary part of that all, is that yes, the gold lead's 2k now, but can grow very quickly as Fox look to get that turret lead and open up a big hole in this game for themselves to try and push for a final game in the series. There are 3 steps to every reverse sweep, Mark. Step 2 is win game 4. They are on the way.
I was almost going to say step 2 is win game 2. Win game 4.
Gotta be careful.
That's tricky. That is a tricky wording one.
Gotta be careful. I mean, it's win your second game.
Win your second game, but you gotta win game 4.
That's true. I guess it also depends, you know, if it's a longer best of series, then you need to win more games than that. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'm glad we've settled back into the same place. As Siege is starting, or continuing, I should say. Top outer turret did fall down. Mid lane still sticking out. Monte gonna keep applying pressure.
Good 1-3-1 comp for EchoFox. The Shen is not disgusting in a side lane split push, but with the Baron buff on, he will be very difficult for the Cho'Gath to deal with. Oh, actually, he died before the Baron.
He did.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that they didn't give him time to respawn before taking the Baron buff down.
Monte gonna come over now instead. Bullet's gonna hit into Papa Child. Lost actually got rooted by a binding, but no follow-up there from the Jhin.
Yeah, no flash on Shrimp either, so he couldn't just nab him out of that root. Gives him enough time to break off, and Damonte had rotated down to give his Baron buff to Alarim to make sure that they could grab that turret.
Yep, extra fast rotation with the Realm Warp as well. Straight back to mid here as EchoFox using their globals pretty nicely here in this game, and we're going to try and open up even more turrets. Kane threatening with a shockwave, but Lost going to sidestep that first ball. Auto Orange over the side. Thought that was a different jungler for a second, but Fox Academy still peppering this turret with Baron up and minions.
It's their turn to abuse this Caitlyn siege. Very hard to walk forward with all those traps. No tried to do so and lost about a third of his HP for doing it.
Well, not a good look there, as 4 turrets now to 1. EchoFox find themselves up 5,000 gold. When Ocean Drake is up, they should be able to take their second Drake here in this one, and we will get one more before the Elder spawns. See what it's going to get, because we're out of Oceans to give away. It is Mountain. Hey, hoping for Infernal, but I'll take it.
Mountain's not bad for trying to end games as well, and EchoFox with this pretty commanding gold lead at 5K. It's not insurmountable, and FlyQuest do have pretty good scaling this game, but EchoFox do as well. Combined with the fact that the Rise is already pretty far ahead, it's going to be very hard for them to make plays onto people. They want to pull a single target back in and root them and pick them off, but Lulu shields combined with a potential Shen ult if the situation looks dire means it is pretty hard to actually kind of execute on this pick comp.
Yeah, Lost already got his QSS as well, making a stop after first 2 items. So Shrimp, that's the best target for him, and is now kind of invalidated at least while the cooldown is available. Unless Lost does something catastrophically stupid. This doesn't count as that though. Nets forward towards Shrimp, but gets him harassed down.
Nope. And the thing is too, we talk about pulling frontliners in and how that's a pretty viable strategy. That works best from even or ahead. When you're behind and the enemy team has a ton of shielding, really not the case. It's going to be kind of hard to kill Odd Orange at this point now that he has a fair amount of HP and starting to back that up with resists. The amount of shields that are going to come in, as well as the fact that the carries on FlyQuest don't really have all their item power spikes there yet, both lacking in pen items right now. It's going to be very hard to burst down any frontliner. Yeah, and
Demonte also has kind of slowly crept up and continued to farm well and scale up. Void Staff now done, joining the Seraphs and the Abyssal Mask. Keen has a lot of gold to spend, so not nearly as far behind as the current inventories will look. And as Baron has worn off, Fox find themselves with a nice lead. You can see the Baron power play was pretty substantial for them, but still a lot of work to do for both these teams as Fox continue to try and mount that pressure. FlyQuest, see how good their defense is looking. It's looked pretty good so far this playoffs.
Yep, absolutely. And this time around did not lose the inhibitors and maybe finding a pickoff, but hard to do.
Gets down, suppression to Papa Chow, but he used the ulti early. Now root onto Shrimp is going to follow up with a bit of a headshot. Papa Chow not going to die, all wears off just in time.
And there you see that the split focus is not really going to do it for FlyQuest there. Alarim didn't even need to ult. Papa Chow protected himself just with his own ultimate, and that just allowed him to get out scot-free after that little blue buff skirmish, and the entire time Ryze is pushing down the top lane.
Yeah, 1-3-1 power still strong here for Echo Fox. Tier 2 siege just starting, but it's mostly to buy time for Demonte and Alarim more than anyone else. As that Shen is back in business, with the Titanic Hydra still moving forward. Also, level 3 on the Shen ult as well, which is always nice to have. And looks like with Baron up in a minute 30, both teams going to reset here and set up for that next objective.
Absolutely, and they're going to keep the minion waves pushing while they do it. Make sure they don't all recall at once. Uh-oh there. No ult on Shrimp though, so doesn't need to be too serious.
Pretty aggressive, but Lost, I think, reading the situation properly.
Also still has that QSS, so pretty safe. Not many people paying the Skarner attacks right now.
I think the one person that has to pay it is paying it at least, though.
Yeah.
As teams are going to get those recalls in. Second Zeal actually almost up to RFC for Caitlyn, but not quite enough money in the bank to finish it off. Still 50 seconds till Baron's back up. Demonte is continuing to be a pest here in the top lane and get the pushes happening.
And this is great for Echo Fox's comp, pulling that Orianna away from the team situation where she wants to be shielding her frontliner to walk up and fight for vision and all these things. Instead, just answering minion waves up in the top side, which she still needs to be worried about a dive coming in anyways, because Ryze can always start one of those off if Odd Orange decides to collapse him.
And again, just pushing forward, making sure no vision makes its way into the Baron area. So far, so good for Echo Fox on that front. And Alarim is just still doing exactly, this is kind of the doomsday situation when you play against Shen, I feel like. Long lane in bot with 2 turrets down, Baron about to spawn, and it takes you so long to answer this Shen. You're either going to lose your inhibitor, the Baron, or if you misplay, both.
And that's the thing is, No doesn't exactly want to go answer that Shen. They're leaving it for other people to go deal with, but that's not ideal either. So they're just caught in this really tough position now, one of those unwinnable situations, it feels like, where you got to find a kill. Here they're looking for one on Demonte.
Demonte gets stunned up, Suppress coming in, but the Stand United actually might keep him alive for long enough to Shockwave, bounce him back around, but it's not enough damage. Spirit's Refuge down for Alarim. Demonte still on the run and does get out of there.
Really confused at how FlyQuest decided to play that. I thought they were going to pull him underneath the turret and potentially have that TP come in a little bit earlier. They don't pull them under the turret. The Shockwave doesn't even pull them in that direction either. Now Shrimp pulled on.
Yeah, looking for the jungler, trying to secure that Baron. Shrimp is low, the damage is good. Ult lands there, but no now around the backside. The flank looks not bad. Lost gets a wild growth, but no is forced to flash away. Airy still with the Jin shots, trying to get it done, but tanks are good enough here as Demonte does have to flash out from under the rupture. Still flashed on from Allura. Takes down no. Low on a JJ, almost gets killed, but a spell fox Demonte is going to chase him down. Absolutely dead on the Morgana. Fox, they get 2 kills. They're going to run straight back to Baron.
Really well played by FOXA. They're just kiting out and not allowing FlyQuest to single down anyone on their team. They were constantly shifting focus. Demonte gets low at points. Papa Chow gets low. And then being able to find the re-engage. Good flank by Demonte. A little dicey as he had to flash out of the rupture, but it did set up Alorum to go in for that flash taunt. Able to set up the 2 kills. Needed to grab that Baron. Second one of the game. And trying to get their second victory.
Yeah, for EchoFox, you have to think this is the one they think that ends the game for them. We'll see if they can make those last few steps and force a final game.
So this is after that top lane skirmish did not go in their favor. They don't have the Oriar ult. They don't have Shrimp's ult. They have no way of really winning this fight. They just want to get vision control to see if the Baron was going down. But they kind of get baited into it anyways, as No had hit this kind of weird flank, and then Ares is trying to open up onto anyone that he can. A couple people are low, but not really still a winnable fight. Good flash by Demonte. That was the only part where this looked like it might have turned bad, but he reacted well to it and set up his team for the rest of the kills.
And after that, Baron was a simple take as FOXA Academy get close to 10,000 gold ahead. Not quite there, but getting probably too close for comfort on the FlyQuest side. 3 items done for Lost plus a Vamp Scepter. Almost Rabadon's done there for Demonte. It's his 4th. But might not need those power spikes, so they're in again onto the rise.
And this time they brought 3 people ready to go.
That's probably enough. Redemption actually long range. Does let him live for a little while longer. Those shields were pretty good, but does finally go down. Unfortunately, they're losing way too much for this, you have to think.
Yep, they're trying to ult them off the turret, but Odd Orange is tanky enough to not need to respect it, though Keen is now wrapping around the flank. Good trap.
Alorum didn't ult either, so still has that for potential play. Lost, flashes forward aggressively. Nets out from under the rupture by No. Thought a couple crits would have got the kill, but a little unlucky.
Unlucky is the word for it, but they're still pressuring all these lanes down. That bot lane going in with the Baron, or excuse me, the Baroned up minions from Alorum hanging out on the side, and then no turret in the mid lane.
Yeah, luck's not going to matter enough here. Lost still playing aggressive. Zones off the mid laner. No shockwave threat. 2 turrets. 4 mid inhib goes along with the rest of it. And now 2 inhibs being threatened. 1 already down. Looking for the second. Lost does not want to face check that ball. And FlyQuest are all back together. Demonte up in 8 seconds. So Fox, they take their 1 win in the mid, and they back off.
Good time, too, right as ultimates are starting to come back up. Nose is available. Keens comes back up as well. Make sure you can't get caught out of position in a 4v5 there. And plus, like you said, already got that mid lane inhibitor. Just make your way down to the Dragon.
Yep, consolidate, take him out and Drake. Bring the Elder Spawn up. That will be the next one if needed, but more than 10,000 gold up now for EchoFox. Feels like they're playing the map really well in this mid game. Again, kind of FlyQuesting FlyQuest, which we said was going to be the challenge, but so far so good. Really just 2 more steps, you think, until the game's going to end.
Yeah,
win something and then kill the Nexus.
Absolutely, and they do have enough pressure with the minions down in the mid lane that they might not even have to win anything too convincing. Even a single kill at this point, if they have a big minion wave pushing in one of these lanes, could be all they need to end the game, because this Caitlyn is so safe from so far away. FlyQuest will need to engage then, and at that point, you're forcing them to pick the bad fight.
Yeah, I mean, look at 4-item Caitlyn, pretty impressive so far for Lost, but Demonte is a big boy on this rise with Rabadon's now finished.
Yeah, once again, a little bit of an unsung hero this game. It always feels like there's attention elsewhere around him, but did have a pretty nice CS lead over Keen and had enough pressure to get some plays in their favor, and he's been split pushing the entire rest of the game as well. But a lot of big plays by different people over the course of EchoFox this game.
Feels like that cohesion's starting to gel a little more as they push through the series. Alorum also had a lot more heroics on tanks in general. First in Cho'Gath last game, now in Shen in this game. Still not out of the woods, certainly. We talked about it. FlyQuest are a team that we will believe until the bitter end in this game. But the situation, once again, looks good for EchoFox as they really just want to see a little more League of Legends. Shrimp looking for the big play! Trying to find Papa Chow. Does get the ulti off first, and I think this is going to be a disaster for FlyQuest Academy. Shrimp dead there to the redemption, I think, from Papa Chow. JJ gets shredded down by Lost. Odd Orange just chasing a few carries away as Demonte does make his way down. Keen dodges what he can, but he's about to get stunned up and shot to death. Ace in the hole, takes down Keen, and Fox will force a final game.
We're going the distance. The reverse sweep is on the horizon for EchoFox Academy. forcing Game 5 here against FlyQuest after taking a global comp and finding one monster fight at 20 minutes into the game.
Lost again, playing up and aggressive forward in towards the fountain, shooting down Airy as much as he can. He almost died to his last few shots, but the Nexus is exposed, and EchoFox will mount the reverse sweep once again. Only one more to play for as we crown an Academy champion.
Alarum looking pretty happy on your screen there. Got to bust out the Cho this time and then baited them in the takeaway so he could get his Shen. And you saw how pivotal that was a number of times, keeping people alive when it looked like it would have got bursted down in other situations. It baited FlyQuest into a number of fights that didn't go their way. There was the one where they was able to keep Papa Chow alive for a period of time, giving them time to collapse, as well as get involved in fights that the Cho'Gath didn't have his global available for.
So what have we learned over the course of 4 games? I think I've learned that Caitlyn is quite good.
Caitlyn is very good. That is definitely something we've learned. There's also the fact that Skarner is, while still very good, maybe not the most important pick in this series. Ryze comes to mind a little bit as something that feels very good for Damonte when he gets it. Doesn't always win him the game, but gives him a lead almost every single time.
I mean, he's looked good on a lot of champions. I think Ryze has certainly been his best looking so far. And Keen, I mean, 3 Orianna games in and Azir. Game 1 looked great, and it's kind of gone a little downhill from there.
Yeah, I think his Orianna still looks good, but it's almost only functioning as support. It's only doing things if they're already ahead. It's not generating leads. And I know Orianna is not a champion that does that, but it's the kind of thing where you are your team's best, your second best player. You might need to find something more influential here.
Well, we've gone the distance, but we're going to check in with the analyst desk to break down how EchoFox tied up this series.
Thank you very much, Pastry. Jumping right into this one. They said it. You guys said it. Caitlyn, it seems to be pretty good for both of these teams, and again, gets through and actually wreaks havoc on the game.
Yeah, after game 1, I was like, Caitlyn, obviously it's a very strong pick. It gives you lane priority, and when you have lane priority, your jungler gets to do kind of whatever they want, and you can play with the triangle from mid to the enemy jungle and your bottom lane. So having that priority is very important, and right now in the current meta, it's kind of like Caitlyn offers that more than pretty much any other AD, and then the support matchup really doesn't matter that much. We're even seeing like them go for a lot of range supports in this series, which I think can be pretty good, but it just seems like the Caitlyn is really the deciding factor here. I don't think we'll see it in Game 5 because I think it'll be banned on a red side when Fox.
Now somebody's just going to let it through. You're going to feel it.
I feel like Fox will be forced to pick will be forced onto red side because FlyQuest have side selection.
It'll be the swap.
Exactly, and so I think they'll have to end up banning it.
Do you think they're going to pull out the first pick Jhin and then get counterpicked by the Draven again? That is what the ass.
See, that's the one that I have.
So many things to think about.
I'm actually very unsure about, right? Because if the Jhin comes through, maybe they pick the Draven again, because this, or maybe you would just end up banning the Draven in the second phase, because Fly had banned Tristana and Ashe. So maybe the Draven just goes up there for
There's been
factor.
a lot of focus on the mid laners, so maybe the AD carries actually get pushed down a little bit farther to kind of hurt that bot lane, and maybe we see a little more matchup in the mid lane. That's kind of what we talked about coming in here, seeing Keen up against Damonte, maybe even Shrimp and Otto and helping them, and we're actually getting a lot of action out of Lost and Airy in the bot lane.
Yeah, I feel like the game has been the series rather, has been very like AD-centric, where it's like, okay, Caitlyn's been in these 3 games, Caitlyn has won these 3 games, and then the one game that Caitlyn wasn't in, it was the Draven show. So, you know, the mid lanes, they've been really standard. I feel like Damonte's been able to generate more leads for himself, but I wouldn't necessarily say that he's been pushing those leads. You know, Keen, he hasn't really been generating leads. He has been landing Orianna ults, but I feel like that last game, they just needed some more DPS, because if you're going to put your mid laner on a support utility kind of mid laner, you shouldn't put your AD carry also on a support utility AD carry like Jhin. You need something like a Kog'Maw or a, you know, just something DPS. And hopefully, you know, they notice that mistake in their draft.
Yeah, they really couldn't get through the tanks is what it ended up being, right? It's like the Orianna not doing enough damage plus the Jhin, so having something that has more consistent DPS output from the AD carry role
cut it down.
is what you really want.
Well, let's review a little bit of it. Just starting at 21 minutes into this game, FOXA Academy 4 for 1 in the top lane. And what was pretty early, but this easily let them pull ahead.
Yeah, Damonte just comes right up with the Realm Warp, and it's a 4-on-3 very early on. And pretty good ultimate there from Papa Chow for the knockup when everybody was just grouped up. It just seems like they were caught a bit with their pants down. It's just this enormous cleanup here.
Yeah, they executed that really well. You know, they were all on the same page. They planned that well, and they really just won the game from that play. They really snowballed the lead.
And it's got to feel good seeing these plays obviously come in your 4th game, trying to push a 5th one. This is when you want to start gelling in game 1, but to now get this, it's kind of like you're always scoring the points as halftime kicks in, and you're really hurting the other team.
Yeah, and so we have to talk about momentum for a second here, because like when FlyQuest Academy are up 2-0, ton of momentum in their corner. It was disrupted by Fox by actually banning the Draven and forcing them to swap, and then winning that one. And now we have it evened up. If you're FlyQuest Academy, I actually think you're in a worse spot, despite being the team that's on blue side and could potentially get Caitlyn. So I think Fox will ban Caitlyn. Now you're forced in a situation for that first game that you lost, and reverse sweeps are something that it's in the back of your head, no matter how much you want to get it out of your head. You always have to think about it.
Yeah, definitely as a player, when you're like...
Why you look at him?
Because he's the player.
I'm the player.
I'm kidding.
He got swept, not reverse swept.
Yeah, it's much
it's a
different.
little different.
Much different. Yeah, when you're down 0-2, you know, you're like, you know, screw it, we're gonna like go ham or we're gonna go home. But when you're up 2-0, then you're now 2-2. It's like it feels like you lost something, right? Like you're about to secure that win, so that there's like feeling of loss and fear. Where if you're people reverse sweeping, they're just like YOLO, like let's just go, let's see what happens. Where now they're like, oh god, like we had the win, and why didn't we just do this? We just need to win one more game. So definitely, I feel like there's gonna be more fear. And I'm not sure if they're going to go for like a high variance team comp too, because it's a little different scenario now. It's game 5.
Yeah, last game of the Academy League.
Got close.
I almost said it.
And this is kind of, you play in a situation where it becomes very slow, but it's a don't want to lose situation. What do you do to kind of keep yourself out of that mentality, or what do you think both teams are kind of telling their teammates right now to say, hey, it is just another game, let's shake it off?
Yeah, you know, going into game 5 and being down 0-2 from 2-0, it's pretty like a worrying feeling you have, because you're like, okay, our game plan was working, but now it's not. Like, what happened in between those games? The game plan that we had is not working.
Because you're trying to assess that at the same time.
Yeah, you're trying to assess that, and now you're wondering, like, do we need to change something? It's game 5. This is our last game. Like, there's so many things that you can do, and there's so many possibilities. So, you know, hopefully they're keeping their heads cool back there and just they're going back to what they know. You know, you don't want to like try something too crazy. You just want to go back to what you know, go back to the fundamentals, comfort picks. That's generally your best bet for game 5.
All right, well, the series is all tied up and headed for that game 5 to determine our Academy League spring champion. Find out if it's FlyQuest or Echo FOXA Academy after the break. Don't touch that mouse.